Okay, I'm live. I'm going to start it off with a story as we wait for people to come in. Hi, Mason. Okay, let's not start off with that one. Let me pick one out of this book, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we'll read Ouija, then we'll read The Eagle Hotel. Ouija is on page 46. I will start every one of my off with a story as we wait for people to come in. So here's Ouija. The first Ouija board appeared in the United States in the late 1880s and was extremely popular during the Victorian era. According to Robert Todd Carroll, author of The Skeptic Dictionary, the board was named Ouija, after Egyptian word for good luck. Although Ouija is not really Egyptian for good luck, Charles Kennard, one of the developers of the modern version of the game, reported that the board told him it was, so the name stuck. For those not familiar with the Ouija board, the game consists of a piece of cardboard upon which the letters of the alphabet are printed along with the words yes, no, maybe, and goodbye, and a planchette, a plastic three-legged device used for pointing. Players ask the board a question while touching the planchette lightly with their fingertips. The planchette then slides across the board, supposedly powered by a psychokinetic forces, pointing toward the letters and words until the answer to the user's question is spelled out. Believers in the Ouija board insist that supernatural forces help to spell out the answers, while others believe that users themselves, either consciously or unconsciously, move the planchette to obtain the answers they desire. Probably few of us grew to adulthood without dabbling with a Ouija board at least once. And the two young men who told me about their paranormal experience are no exception. Jason Gibbs and Eric Perry have been best friends since the 4th grade. Growing up together in the northwestern Erie County, the two had much in common, sharing camping trips, fishing excursions, roller coaster rides, and sleepovers. In addition to these fun-filled pursuits, the two have always also shared some darker experiences. Both seem to be sensitive to the paranormal phenomena, and both have had a run-in with the Ouija board. Jason's childhood home was built in the 1800s and had reportedly been used at one time as a station on the Underground Railroad. Over the years, Jason recalled a number of unexplained events that have occurred in his home. A rocking chair frequently rocks by itself. The pungent odor of cherry pipe tobacco wafts through the house from time to time, even though the only family member ever to smoke a pipe was Jason's deceased grandfather. The family dog Sam often paces through the house, the hair on his back standing up as he barked and growled at nothing. One evening while Jason was relaxing on his couch in the living room, the television turned on by itself. Puzzled, he got up and turned it off, then returned to the couch. Seconds later, the television snapped on again. Once more, Jason got up, switched it off, only to have it come back on the moment he sat down. This time, Jason decided to stand by the television to see what would happen. He discovered that as long as he stayed beside the television, it would remain off. But the moment he ventures back to the place on the couch, the mischief spirit flips it on again. Eric tells of visiting Jason at his home one evening. The hour was late when the two had finished talking, so Eric decided to spend the night rather than drive home. Asleep on the futon in the second floor computer room, Eric suddenly woke around 2:30 in the morning to find a computer keyboard typing furiously by itself. The computer was turned off at the time, and no living typist was in sight. Needless to say, Eric slept downstairs the remainder of the night. Eric is no stranger to spooky experiences, as the house in which he grew up apparently harbors some spirits of its own. A common thread that runs through many supernatural tales is the fascination the spirits seem to have with manipulating electrical appliances, and this appears to be the case with this impish entity who once terrified Eric and his older brother using the telephone. When he was about 12 years old, Eric and his 17-year-old brother were home alone one afternoon when his brother attempted to make a phone call. He was prevented from doing so, however, by a series of loud noises that suddenly began emanating from the speaker's phone. We kept hearing the same sound over and over. Hold on, I'll be right back. Yes? Okay.
There ain't no water coming out of it.
Has to be. If you drink it. Give me it. Heavy. It's full.
There ain't no water coming out of it.
We're gonna have to pull this up for a while. It's full. Get in there. Let's go. What? Meh. Eric recalled the high-pitched cry of an infant. Heavy footsteps walking back and forth over a creaky floor. The repeated pounding of a metal hammer. My brother turned the speaker phone off. It was scary, terrifying. We turned the phone off 3 times, but the sound were still there. my brother sent me to check on other phones in the house, and they were all hung up. Eric remembered running down the street and bringing a friend back to hear the strange noises. When they returned to the house, Eric recalls all of them were shocked that the eerie sounds had not subsided. We just sat there, not believing what we heard. The sound was repeating themselves over and over in no set pattern. Sometimes faster, sometimes louder. Then so quiet they were hard to make out. At one point the sounds all mixed together at the same time. After about 20 minutes the noise stopped and abruptly as they had started and never returned. This experience, along with several other unexplained occurrences, such as the sound of heavy breathing regularly heard in his bedroom at night, was enough to convince Eric that there might be something other than living persons residing in his house. And then there was the thing with the Ouija board. Like his friend Jason, Eric was never quite sure he believed all the superstitions around the Ouija board. True, they were fun to play with, but certainly they couldn't be taken seriously. Jason changed his mind one night when he decided to challenge the board. "If you're real," he said aloud, "then make the phone ring." The phone rang, and there was no one there. To be outdone by his friend, Eric had a startling Ouija tale of his own. Even though he had heard stories about the Ouija board can be difficult to dispose of, a friend told him of screams heard coming from a burn barrel when she was trying to burn an old Ouija game. He wasn't sure he believed that tale. However, one day an incident occurred that made him wonder if there might not be a grain of truth in the legend. As a youngster, Eric had borrowed a Ouija board from a friend in his neighborhood. After playing with it for a while, he grew tired of the game and left it sitting on the railing of his front porch. Early the next morning, Eric woke to the sound of driving rainstorm, remembering that he left the Ouija board outside. He leaped out of his bed and ran to the porch, imagining how angry his friend was going to be when she found out her game was ruined. When he reached the porch, picked up the game, Eric's jaw dropped in amazement. Despite the pounding rain that had soaked everything around it, the Ouija board was completely dried, untouched by the storm. That is our first story tonight. Oh. Our second story is going to be the Ouija board. No, not the Eagle Hotel. And we're going to take a break right now. Do you mind, Ouija? Oh. Just you, Mason? Oh, Joe is in. Hello, Joe. Hope I didn't miss you. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts. I know, Jason. Mason, you're my backbone. Cherry's up to nothing. The Eagle Hotel is a restaurant hotel now. It's over in Waterford, Pennsylvania, about maybe a half-hour drive from me. Um, Beside the hotel is a statue of George Washington. He traveled through Waterford. Mhm. He was a soldier. So I don't think we're gonna talk about him, but we are talking about the Eagle Hotel. And the Eagle Hotel is quite haunted. I like to hook up with some people and call the hotel and see if we can get in there. I don't know how we're gonna do that. I would love to go. So on to our next story. Yes, Belinda, if you're here, thank you. Please hit the down button because you know my best friends are on that end. I hope you didn't get yelled at by Mike too bad, okay? Nope, I've been, far as I've been south is Tennessee. North, I was in Canada. So that's the way it goes. Hold on, I'll be right back. Yes? Yes, yes, yes.
I think Red one's out.
Oh. Come on, Red.
We gotta finish with water.
Food, okay? I just need water. I need water. Ouch. Okay. Got itchy eye. Oh, no one's here now. Everybody left me. Oh, okay, you're still here? Take doggy outside. I don't love people around right now. Take Red potty. Red had to go potty. And his water bowl was dry, so. What are you two doing? Every time a thunderstorm comes, he's under the blankets. Yeah, I don't think he's afraid of them. Oh, she hated him. How's your mother doing? She's feeling a lot better? Ooh. Not gonna figure out how to say it. Oh. What are you doing, Weedy? The kitty's back there? Make sure you share me out. Maybe we can get some people in here. Who knows? I don't know where he is. He's not going to be on YouTube that much. That's what I heard. What are you doing? Cat, you're woo. Okay. Let me see. Got a cougar? Hmm. That's for sure. No, they're not. They actually are not nice pets. I've been watching a lot of streams on those. I asked Dawn if we can get a hippo. My tiger's really nice pet. I got a tiger. What are you guys doing? Yeah, the first one? Yeah. I can't remember. It's been that long since I watched it. Jumanji! Yep. Oh. Hello, 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 hello. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Yep. For water. Because that's where they're going to be at the water. I don't think I'm going to do too good tonight, must be. Have it come back and slow. What you doing, lad? I'll move that for you. Oh, and there will be a Christmas drawing this year. Just names. Just going to put names in, and you have to be here for it. Oh, Christmas drawing. Who's ever in the stream, I'll write their names on a little piece of paper and put it in something, and then we'll draw it out. No. Not yet. As soon as I find my Santa Claus, he'll be going out. I got a 10 foot tall Santa Claus. 10 feet tall, 10 foot tall. One of the two. It's taller than me. I've noticed I've been blocked in a lot of people's channels. Oh wow, I got a train set too. What are you trying to do? Hmm? Come here. What you want? What you want in the drawer? What are you doing, Croak? Yep, I remember the Nutcracker. She's in the drawer. Croak likes to be in the drawer. Huh. Now she's getting her head scratched. Oh, Mom, that feels so good. Now I can shut it on her. You can't have that box there. I can't do that. Now I can do it. Get down. Hi. Hey. Hi. You get out of it, I'm shutting it. Oh. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll have a Christmas drawing, we'll have a New Year's Eve drawing. We'll have Easter. Yeah, she's just being a pain. What do you want? Bye. Okay, story number 2. Here we go. The Eagle Hotel. Wait a minute. Well, we're going to read the Spirit photography. Got it. If you are looking for an authentic slice of Americana, you need look no further. This picture-perfect northeast Pennsylvania, located along the banks of Lake Erie, just west of New York, Pennsylvania state line. Northeast exemplifies the best of the small town's life has to offer. Incorporated in 1834, Northeast was the home of the first railroad line in Erie County. Perhaps most well known for its magnificent grape vineyards and associated wineries. Oh, there's a lot up there. Northeast also boasts beautiful Gibson Park, a thriving main street, a local branch of Mercyhurst College, and a vast array of community organizations and activities, with a spring to fall farmer market, a fireman's cherry festival, 4th of July fireworks, and even an annual pumpkin decorating contest at Halloween. There is something for everyone all year round in Northeast, and is in most older communities there also a ghost or two. Bob and Cindy Rystall moved into their lovely 150-year-old Northeast home in 1971. The house is situated in a pleasant residential neighborhood that was once known as Little Italy or Little Brooklyn, by the immigrants who first settled there, although they do not know who all of the previous owners of the house were. Bob and Cindy do know that at one point in the past, their home was used as a boarding house. And also, the couple have not experienced apparitions, displaced objects, or eerie situations often associated with a traditional haunting. They have reasons to suspect that there is something out of the ordinary in their home. Cindy recalled that shortly after she and Bob moved into the house, she suddenly and inexplicably developed a very strong interest in sewing. Even though she had never enjoyed sewing up to that point. In fact, she admitted to be very... No, you're not. I don't like when you turn quick. And in fact, she admits to being very bad at it. In her high school home economic class, Cindy decided to begin making clothes for her children as a way to help out with the family budget. Bob purchased an old sewing machine for her to use, and before long she was so adept at the skill that she decided to take some classes to improve even further. Eventually, okay, I'm patting you. Turn your head. Eventually, Cindy became a full-time seamstress tailor and started her own successful home-based business. Many years later, she discovered during a conversation with Bob's grandmother, Marie, that a seamstress had formerly lived in Cindy's house and had operated a sewing business there. Marie remembered her mother bringing her to the house as a child when she needed to have some sewing done. Cindy believed it is possible that the spirit may have been responsible for influencing her career choice. In 1990, another incident occurred in their home that Bob and Cindy are still able to explain. It was Christmas time, and the Rystall's son had just received a small Kodak camera on one of his gifts. Excited, the youngster roamed through the house, randomly snapping photos of anything in his path. When the film was developed, Bob and Cindy made a startling discovery. A photo of their Christmas tree revealed a clear image of a man in a military uniform next to the tree, speaking with a woman in a large feathered hat. The couple is sure there was no window or television nearby to cause a reflection. And a professional photographer who later examined the film and declared it is authentic. Two other pictures on the same roll of the film contain images that astound the Rafstals. In the first, the figure of a bride and groom can be seen outlined against a photo on the back door. I don't know. Okay, the second picture is one of the family's dogs standing next to the kitchen table with an image of the Rafstall's parakeet, Dagwood. Reflecting on the tabletop, the dog was alive and well at the time the photo was taken, but unfortunately Dagwood had passed away almost 10 years before. In the years since the photo was taken, Bob and Cindy have tried unsuccessfully to discover the identity of the people in the pictures. People sometimes think that we're crazy. Cindy said, even so, no one had ever seen the photograph so far has been able to offer the Rafstall satisfactory explanation of these unusual images found their way into ordinary family pictures. Well, here's the picture of both the bride and groom on the door. You can barely make them out, but they're there. Once again, the Rafstall story raises more questions than answers about paranormal phenomena. Could the same leftover energy that might linger after death and produce a ghostly apparition also have an imprint of a camera lens, imprint on a camera lens? Right there is the soldier by the tree, right there. Okay, then we have Dagwood the parakeet. Well, there's the puppy, and the parakeet's right over here. I don't know how to say that word. That Borkua? I'm not good at pronouncing words. Hello. Welcome. B-O-R. Yeah, it's good quiet. Everybody, all the bigger channels are streaming tonight, you know. The ones that are really well known. But that's alright. We can do this, Mason. We can do it. Okay, we're out of that book. And we're going to go into... Why don't we read out the Civil War one tonight? Read out the Civil War movie. Mookie. I have two movies I love. Gettysburg. I can watch that over and over and over and over. And I liked The Patriot. Those two movies really get to me. And I like Hamburger Hill. We got that one. We got Can't think of it. I just watched it too. Wait a minute. We haven't read out of this one in a while, have we? Okay, next one's called 20 Years Later. And then we're going to read one called Poltergeist or Prankster. We'll read that one after we get done with it. 20 Years Later. I know. Well, at least it ain't you reading. It's me reading. Well, I'm going to work on these books till they're all read, then I'm going to get new ones. Everyone ready? I know Belinda might be here, so thank you, Belinda, for being here. She won't come in. She's on Blackwood. She won't come in. I heard her say that. And I'm not welcome in her stream, so she's welcome in mine. What is it? Okay, here it is. 20 Years Later by Dan Thomas Howe. December 1989. And the little thing here says, whatever is there refuses to leave. Whatever there is still felt by all who visit the old house. I like that. Massive oak trees line the property of the two-story house that sits on the lush green lots just northeast of DeWitt, Arkansas. It is there that numerous paranormal occurrences have been prevalent for over 20 years. The occurrences are varied and almost unpredictable in nature. There is more than the bumps in the night or the poltergeist experiences normally associated with hauntings. This haunting defies rational explanation, or does it? In the 1960s, the house was purchased with money received in an accident settlement that left the boy Francisco near death and his cousin Jonathan dead. I gotta do something here. Oh, people are coming in, but they're not. Okay. The boys were riding their bicycles along U.S. Highway 165, just west of DeWitt, when a drunk driver stopped on a hill and plowed head-on into them. The cousin riding on the handlebars of the bicycle died instantly. Francisco was terribly injured and laying near death in a Little Rock area hospital. It was months before his family told him of Jonathan's death. By the time Francisco was released from the hospital, the final arrangements were being made for the purchase of the house. Francisco was 12 years old, the same age as Jonathan had been when the family moved into the house. It was very long until the family came to the realization that the house harbored much more in it confines than they had ever expected. The father and mother, Jeff and Eden, moved Francisco and his 4 sisters and his brother into the house. The children were given the upstairs bedrooms, while the parents took the one downstairs. The children, ranging in ages from 11 to 19, were the first to experience the many personalities of the house had. The children told their parents about the visits they had received from an old lady with green eyes and a flowing bathrobe who visits their bedrooms. The old lady never spoke, but sat quietly at the foot of their beds and looked at them with her green eyes glowing in the darkness. Then she simply rose silently and glided into nothingness. The parents dismissed the children's report as an active imagination at first. Hi, Carla. Oh, Carla. So sorry. I was in a car accident last month. Oh, that's gotta hurt. I bet. Oh, I'll send you some healing prayers to get you healing. Okay, you listen. I'll tell the story and you listen. After only 3 months in the house, the mother, Eden, became convinced that the children's stories were very real. She became frightened by not hysterical. Whatever it was in the house seems to pose no imminent danger to the family. Eden felt this, yet she couldn't explain why. One warm, sultry summer morning at 6 o'clock, Eden sat on her sprawling dining room, enjoying her morning cup of coffee. The birds sang cheerfully on the limbs of the huge oak tree just outside the dining room window. And the sun was peering above the tree line that bordered her property. The bird song was interrupted by silence. Absolute silence. Eden heard 20-year-old Carolyn calling Mama in a voice that expressed sheer horror. Carolyn came bounding down the staircase. Her skin was pale, very pale, she said. Mama, it's talking to me and following me. Eden rose quickly to her feet and grabbed Carolyn. What are you saying? Eden asked. Carolyn replied, still hysterical. He is right behind me, Mama. Eden turned and saw nothing. However, she heard the sound of footsteps approaching. The footsteps could only be described as the sound of wet feet on linoleum. The sound were getting closer. Eden remembered her great-grandmother telling her when Eden was a child that ghosts couldn't hurt people, but that could cause people to hurt themselves. She also remembered her great-grandmother saying to address the dead by saying, in the name of God, what do you want? She told Carolyn to address the man in that way. When Carolyn did so, she turned to her mother, even more hysterical, and said, Oh my God, Mama, he answered me. With that, Carolyn fainted. Immediately, Eden looked at the spot where the Carolyn had addressed the presence and said, in the name of God, leave us now. The footsteps seemed to walk back to the staircase and faded away as it climbed the stairs. Upon waking, Carolyn could remember nothing about what had happened to her earlier that morning, perhaps from fright. Many things began to happen after that occurrence with Carolyn. Poltergeist-like presence would unplug the family's television, while the family sat in the living room watching it. The large window fan would also stop running, as though unseen hands forcefully stopped the blades. Francisco's blankets would be violently pulled off of him while he tried to rest in bed. Each time the blankets would be neatly folded at the foot of the bed, instantaneously by unseen hands. And I just lost. It is very important to note at this time that Jeff and Eden Lancurian, not their real names, and their children were very poor people. They had no material or monetary wealth. All they collected from the accident was spent on the purchase of their home. They couldn't even afford to remodel or modernize the 100-year-old structure except for a little here and a little there. Even then, Jeff did the work. I don't think they should have got that money. I think they should have put it in the bank for the kid. The kid was the one that was hurt. Okay. Come back when you can stay a little longer. A preacher once stated, after visiting the house with me, that there appeared to be a dark cloud that hung over the house. Even on the sunniest day, of course. Not in the literal sense, but nonetheless, it was there. Most of the activity centered around the children, as is typical of many poltergeist hauntings. Just prior to each experience, the air became heavy, and in daylight hours, the bird songs would cease. The phenomena, I hate that word, seemed to be a melange of historical periods. Some of the phenomena were apparently from the 1800s, while others were clearly in the automobile era. Take for example the old lady. The ghostly figure was described as looking like something out of the late 1800s or early 1900s. Another phenomenon was a car that would drive up and blow its horn at the front door. Each time the family looked for the automobile, they would find that nothing was there. As the years passed and the children became young adults, the events became less frequent. But more bizarre, in 1976, I was spending the night with the family. They were my cousins and close friends. I had always heard that something occupied the house with Eden's family, but frankly, I was skeptic. After that night, I'll never be skeptic again. As I climbed into bed, I noticed the area around me became very cold. Francisco turned to me and said, "Oh God, it's here again." Not knowing what to expect, like Francisco is the next bed, I sat up and waited for the inevitable. What followed is something I will never forget. On the floor of the room, we saw a fated spherical cloud, a pure white that appears to pulsate. The sound emanating the cloud was distinctly the cry of an infant. The baby cries becomes louder and louder, eventually filling the entire house. Eden appeared in the doorway of the bedroom and listened. Then she covered her face with her hands and lowered her head. The crying lasted for over 30 minutes, and faded as quickly as it had begun. This year I will celebrate my 35th birthday. Recently I spoke with Eden, who now lives in the sprawling house all alone. Her husband died of cancer last year. When I asked her if the event still occur at the house, she replied, yes, it is still here, but it doesn't bother me as much anymore. Maybe I've accepted it. Maybe I'm too old to worry about it. But it is still here with me. She told me that her children visit her often, but each one of them refused to sleep upstairs. In fact, they refuse to even go upstairs. As the children gather for the holidays, they lie on the floor of the living room in their sleeping bags and listen to the movement of furniture and footsteps of the man in the two upstairs rooms. At times they still hear the baby crying, although it is being severely beaten. Aww. The house is deteriorating with age, yet far from dilapidated. The massive oak trees seem to be drooping every closest to the ground, and the cloud still hangs over the house and property. Whatever is there refuses to leave. Whatever it is, there is still felt as it became its presence known to all who comes to see. Eden really doesn't live alone, but she doesn't know who it is she lives with, or rather, what lives with her. Oh no. You're doing it right. Hey, number 2, how are you? And our next story is going to be Poltergeist or Prankster. So we're going to have to really listen to this one. I see you're still here, Mason. Thank you for talking to Carla, keeping her company while I'm reading. Where are the babies? Where are they? I gotta find the kittens. I don't know where they're at. We were talking games. Let's see. Okay, games. Easter drawing. How about July 4th? And what other kind of drawings do you want? Yep, I lost the kittens. I see the cats, but don't see the kittens. They're probably behind my blue stand. I got one that attacks my feet. Spirit attacks my feet. Okay. Yeah, we're going to read another story here shortly. Carla went to bed. She's tired. Hi, Ouija. Okay. Hello. Yeah, I'm getting ready to read another story here shortly called Poltergeist or Prankster. What are you doing down there? Okay. Okay. These all happen what I'm reading are in Arkansas. Okay, the next one's called Poltergeist or Prankster. Getting ready to read again. Trying to get a drink. Yeah, I know Rod Stewart. Okay. Poltergeist or Prankster by John C. Ross. April 1962. The farm boy confessed to playing pranks, but could we really make books, cans, and biscuits floating through the air? Well, let's see what's going on with this story. For a while last December, it looked like the country had another authentic poltergeist case on its hands. It had all the earmarks, all the mystery. Then it was blown sky high when a 15-year-old boy confessed he had done it all himself. But had he? Some of his friends and neighbors have at least a few doubts. It all began on the C.E. Ed Shin farm near Mena, Arkansas. A year before it first received general publicity on December 2nd. The Shins didn't report it for a long time. Whoops. What's this from? Oh, let's put it back there. Well, because they were afraid people would think we were crazy. Mr. Shin is a sturdy 72-year-old man, still actively farming on his place 3 miles east of Mena on Ransom Road. God. He and his wife Bertie, 70, and their 15-year-old grandson Charles Albert Schaefer lived in the 5-room farmhouse where the events took place. The Shins, who lived in the house for 15 years and in the area for 46 years. No! Let her go. You don't do that to my dolls. The unusual activities began a year before with a rattling of the windows and a knocking on the walls like someone was trying to come in. The window rattled as if the glass might fall out, and there was another noise too, like a man using a handsaw. The latter noise seemed to be coming from between the walls, over the head of the bed. Sheriff Bryce Scoggins of Polk County and two of his deputies, a state police trooper, and 4 reporters spent a night in the house, but nothing happened. The Shins had gone to spend the night with relatives. There were outside witnesses to some of the goings on. Mrs. W.E. Shin, a daughter-in-law, said she saw a coal bucket and some ears of corn sailing toward her. Gene Wittenberg, a brother of Mrs. Shin, declared he saw a can of dog food and a pencil in midair. A son-in-law, J.D. Wellhite, claimed he heard it whistle. It makes a sound like whistling as a girl sometimes, and Bob White whistled sometimes. A neighbor, J.L. Ply, was on hand once to watch matches fly off the shelf. I talked to a smart fellow about this thing, and he told me it might be caused by uranium brought in through the well, Mr. Ply says. Mrs. Shin wasn't buying everything, especially the report of all visitors. Why they even say that our mailbox has been revolving, she said. Meanwhile, the Shins added to the report biscuits in the kitchen was reported to be floated into the living room. Figurines were swept off the shelf in the living room and banged into Mr. Shin's head. Mr. Shin fixed it once. When a sack of marbles belonging to grandson Charles was scattered all over the bedroom, he gathered the marbles up and put them between 2 bales of hay. They haven't bothered us since, he said. Shin said they were awakened one night by a howling or hissing noise. Mrs. Shin asked it to be quiet, but it kept right on. Then she asked it to go to sleep. I don't sleep, came the reply. Then will you let me sleep? Miss Shin asked. You don't need to sleep either, the thing answered. But alas, many, if not all good things must end. And they said a particular thing turned out to be grandson Albert Schaefer. Nobody comes in yet? That's right, I know that song too. Okay. He admits to it. Only a few days after his pranks have achieved nationwide publicity, confessed, yes, he had thrown chairs, marbles, and books, overturned and rearranged furniture, and made mysterious noises. I didn't mean to hurt no one, he sobbed to Sheriff Bryce Scoggins. I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused. The boy said he started the noise as a prank when he was 11 years old because Grandpa Wood was picking on me. I didn't mean for it to get out of hand, but I didn't know how to stop, he said. The boy is, I think I read this one before. The boy is a superior student in the school and said he was relieved it was all over. He didn't do it anymore. He said because the voice told me not to. He gave a detailed account of how he was manipulated the pranks. Some of the noise was made by tapping on the steel frame on his bed with a pair of pliers. At night, he threw things from one room to another. He pulled the covers away from his grandparents in the dark. He did not, he said, rattle any windows. The wind must have done that. That was seen to in the story of the Arkansas poltergeist, except that's not everyone is convinced. Lucius Forrest, a reader of Plummerville, Arkansas, wrote Fate that the only trouble is nobody believes the explanation given, at least no one familiar with poltergeist manifestation. There was no explanation for the daytime observations, for instance, or for the report from friends and relatives of the Shins. Charles Albright, columnist for the Arkansas Gazette of Little Rock, expressed this view is detailed in his column, Our Town. Anyone who takes comfort in the confession of Albert Schaefer, the grandson, that he was the one who whipped up all the weird doings of the farmhouse near Mina, either didn't read far enough or simply can't face the facts. Albert says, I did it. And everybody jumps to believe him. Come on. Okay, down. And then he added, I stopped because the voice told me not to. And what does everybody do? They have jumped clear out of the earshot. I wouldn't serve them right if they landed on a stinging snake. Personally, we are having no part of the confession, Albert. Can't make biscuits float through the air any more than we can. Hurl through the air, maybe, or zip, but not float. Not even the kind that grandmother makes. And what about the ear of popcorn? Wafting through the room in front of the coal bucket. Perhaps they wafted through in reverse of this. It does not matter. Albert could not have wafted either. Our theory is that he took the rap so that everybody could get some peace. If not, what about all the eyewitnesses to the ghostly going on? People who didn't even live in the house. Where does this leave them? On the way to California or someplace? That's a cute little story. Okay. You tired? Mason's tired. Huh? You tired? I think you want to go get in your room, don't you? Go see you by. Come on. Where's the kitties? Where's the babies? Pumpkin! Spirit! No, not yet. You can go if you want to, Mason. I'm just going to read stories till my time's up. Right? Kitty? Right, Crooker? Crooker! What you doing, Crook? Okay. Where'd it go? Kitty, kitty, kitties. I think the kitties hid from me today. They were playing hard earlier. One kept attacking my feet. Let's see. Let's go to this one with the... Okay, I'm going to go to short stories now. Oh. Sounds. I'm going to read from this for a while. I think they're behind my blue stand. If not, in it. Okay, here we go. The house was near the beach. It was a big old place where nobody had lived for years. From time to time, somebody would force open a window or a door and spend the night there. But no longer. 3 fishermen, caught in a storm, took shelter there one night. With some dry wood they found inside, they made a fire in the fireplace. They lay down on the floor and tried to get some sleep. But none of them slept that night. First they heard footsteps upstairs. It sounded like there were several people moving back and forth, back and forth. When one of the fishermen called, "Who's up there?" the footsteps stopped. Then they heard a woman scream. The scream turned into a groan and died away. Blood began to drip from the ceiling into the room where the fishermen huddled. A small red pool formed on the floor and soaked into the wood. A door upstairs crashed shut. And again the woman screamed. "Not me," she cried. It sounded as if she was running, her high heels tapping wildly down the hall. "I'll get you," the man shouted, and the floor shook as he chased her. Then silence. There wasn't a sound until the man who was shouted began to laugh. Long peals of horrible laughter filled the house. It went on and on until the fishermen thought they would go mad. When finally it stopped, the fishermen heard someone coming down the stairs dragging something heavy that bumped on each step. They heard him drag it through the front hall and out the front door. The door opened, then it slammed shut. Again, silence. Suddenly a flash of lightning filled the house with a green blaze of light. Ghastly faced stares of the fishermen from the hallway. Then came a crash of thunder. Terrified, they ran out into the storm. Yeah, all that, and they ran out into a storm. Okay. A weird blue light. Late one night in October 1864, a Confederate blockade running slipped by some Union gunboats at the entrance of Galveston Bay in Texas and made it safely to port with its cargo of food and other necessities. Lewis Billings, the master of the small vessel, was getting ready to weigh anchor when he was startled by a shriek from one of the crews. A strange old-fashioned schooner with a big black flag was rushing down at us. Billings says later, she was afire with a sort of weird pale blue light that lighted up every nook and cranny on her. The crew was pulling at the ropes and doing other work and they paid us to no attention. Didn't even glance our way. They all had ghastly bleeding wounds, but their faces and eyes were those of dead men. The man who had shrieked had fallen to his knees, his teeth chattering as he gasped out a prayer, overcoming my own terror that was chilling the very marrow of my bones. I rushed forward, shouting to the others as I ran. Suddenly the schooner vanished before my eyes. Some say that it was the ghost of Jean Lafitte, pirate ship Pride, that sank off Galveston Island in 1821 or 1822. She was seen again in 1892 in the same waters with the same crew. What are you guys doing? Kitty, kitty, kitty. What? Come on. Come on over. Oh, mommy's little baby. Mommy's little baby girl. Yeah. Mama's precious angel. Yeah. And my biggest pain in the ass. Yeah. Yours. Yeah, your mommy's baby. Yeah. Don't tap me, please. Ouija. Go get one. Hello. Number 2. I'll be reading another story here shortly. Tonight I'm going to read all stories because no one's coming in, so I'm just reading stories to Mason. There she goes. Let's see. Okay, we're going to read The Bus Stop, Faster and Faster, and Just Delicious. We're going to read those 3 here shortly. And got another book down here. Haunted Lakes. I just started reading this one. So because it goes by chapters and it's got sections. I'm gonna do this when I have more people in here and I can read it. Okay. Let me take a break. Yep. Let's go and order some more books pretty soon here. Okay, here we go. Oh no! The bus stop. Ed Cox was driving home from work in a rainstorm. While he waited for the traffic light to change, he saw a young woman standing alone at a bus stop. She had no umbrella and was soaking wet. "Are you going toward Farmington? He asked. "Yes, I am," she says. "Would you like a ride home?" "I would," she says, and she got in. "My name is Joanna Finney." "Thank you for rescuing me. I'm Ed Cox," he said, "and you're welcome." On the way, they talked and talked. She told him about her family and her job and where she had gone to school, and he told her about himself. By the time they got to her house, the rain had stopped. I'm glad it rained," Ed said. "Would you like to go out tomorrow after work?" "I'd love to," Joanna said. She asked him to meet her at the bus stop, since it was near her office. They had such a good time, they went out many times after that. Always, always they would meet at the bus stop, and off they would go. Ed liked her more each time he saw her. But one night, when they had a date to go out, Joanna did not appear. Ed waited at the bus stop for almost an hour. Maybe something is wrong, he thought, and he drove to her house in Farmington. An old lady came to the door. "I'm Ed Cox," he says. "Maybe Joanna told you about me? I had a date with her tonight. We were supposed to meet at the bus stop near her office, but she didn't show up. Is she all right?" The woman looked at him as if he had said something strange. I am Joanna's mom, Joanna's mother," she said slowly. "Joanna isn't here now. But why don't you come in?" Ed pointed to a picture on the mantel. "That looks just like her," he says. "It did once," her mother replied. "But that picture was taken when she was your age, about 20 years ago." A few days later, she was waiting in the rain at the bus stop. A car hit her and she was killed. Wow. Faster and faster. Tim and his cousin Bill were walking into the woods. The only sound were leaves rustling, and now and again a bird chirping. "It's so quiet here," Bob whispers. But that soon changed. After a few minutes, the two boys started whooping and hollering and chasing one another around. Sam ducked behind a tree. When Bob came by, Sam jumped out at him. Then Bob raced ahead and hid behind a bush. When he looked down, there at his feet was an old drum. "Sam, see what I found," he called. It looked like a tom-tom. "I bet it's 100 years old. Look at the red stain on it," Sam said. "I bet it's somebody's blood. Let's go. Let's get out of here." Alright, Mason, quit making me hungry. Thank you for the hearts. But Bob could not resist trying the drum. He sat on the ground, held it between his legs. He beat on it with one hand, then the other, slowly at first and faster, almost as if he could not stop. Suddenly there were shouts in the woods and the sounds of hoofbeats. A cloud of dust rose from behind the line of trees, then men on horseback galloping toward them. Bob, let's go, Sam shouted. He began to run. Hurry! Bob dropped the drum and ran after him. Sam heard the twang of a bow firing an arrow. When he heard Bob scream, when Sam turned around, he saw Bob pitch forward dead, but there was no arrow in his body, and there was no wound. And when the police searched, there were no men on horseback, and there were no hoof prints, and there were no drum. The only sounds were leaves rustling, and now and again a bird chirping. Oh boy. Hi. What you doing? Hmm? Where are the kitties? Mama kitty, where are the kitties? Mama kitty, where's the kitties? It's only Monday anyways. The Monday blues. The blues, the blues, the blues. Hmm. Are you still working, Mason? You still have your job? You don't have to force yourself to stay awake. If you're tired, go to bed. I'll read another story so you can go to bed. Are we ready? Just Delicious is the name of this one. George Flint loved to eat. Each day at noon, he closed his camera shop for 2 hours, went home for a big lunch. His wife Mina cooked for him. George was a bully, and Mina was a timid woman who did everything he asked because she was afraid of him. On his way home for lunch one day, George stopped at a butcher shop and bought a pound of liver. He loved liver. He would have Mina cook it for dinner that night. Despite all his complaints about her, she was a very good cook. While George ate his lunch, Mina told him that a rich old woman in town had died. Her body was in the church next door. It was in an open coffin. Anyone who wanted to see her could. As usual, George was not interested in what Mina had to say. I have to go back to work, he told her. After he left, Mina began to cook the liver. She added vegetables and spices and simmered it all afternoon, just the way George liked it. I got lost here. When she thought it was done, she cut off a little piece and tasted it. It was delicious, the best she had ever made. She ate a second piece, then a third. It was so good she could not stop eating it. It was only when the liver was all gone that she thought of George. He would be coming home.
Mary,
Be right back. Yes? Open it.
need my drug deal back. And soda. Yes, drug deal. Thank you.
Here, one. Me, where's mine? I got one. Thank you. Thank you. Give me 5. Come on, give me 5. Oh, there you are, Spirit. Hi, Spirits. I got them both. I don't know where they were. They just shown up. This is a Hellraiser. She gets into trouble. This one here is an explorer. She likes to explore. Or he. Or what they are. Okay. Back to the story. It was only when the liver was all gone that she thought of George. He would be coming home soon. What would he do when he found that she had eaten all the liver? Some men would laugh, but not George. He would be angry and mean, and she did not want to face that again. But where could she get another piece of liver that late in the day? Then she remembered the old woman lying in the church next door, waiting to be buried. George said he never had a better dinner. Have some liver, Mina, he says. It was delicious. I'm not hungry. She said, you finish it. That night, after George had fallen asleep, Mina sat in bed trying to read. But all she could think about was that what she had done. Then she thought she heard a woman's voice. Who has my liver? It asked. Who has it? Was it her imagination? Was she dreaming? Now the voice was closer. Who has my liver? It asked. Who has it? Mina wanted to run. No, no, she asked. I don't have it. I don't have your liver. Now the voice was right next to her. Who has my liver? It asked. Who has it? Mina froze with terror. She pointed to George. He does, she said. He has it. Suddenly the light went out, and George screamed and screamed. Oh, wow. That was a little different. Somebody didn't like my stories. Next one's called Hello, Kate. Hello, Kate. Tom Connors. Tom Connors was on his way to a dance in the next village. It was a long walk through the woods, through the fields and woods. But it was a soft, sweet evening, and he loved dancing, so Tom didn't mind. He had gone only a short distance when he noticed a young woman following him. Maybe she is going to the dance, he thought, and he stopped and waited for her. As the woman got closer, he saw that it was Kate Flaherty, and they had danced together many times. Did ya? I have one here. He was about to call, hello, Kate, when suddenly he remembered that Kate was dead. Uh-oh. She had died last year. I'm back. Okay. Let me find out where I left off. I'll start over. He was about to call, "Hello, Kate," when suddenly he remembered that Kate was dead. She had died last year, yet there she was, all dressed up for the dance. Tom wanted to run, but somehow it didn't seem right to run from Kate. He turned and started to walk away as fast as he could, but Kate followed him. He took a shortcut across the field, but she followed. When he got to the dance hall, she was right behind him. There was a lot of people standing outside, and Tom tried to lose Kate in the crowd. He worked his way to the side of the building, then squeezed up against the wall behind some people. But Kate followed. She came close. She came so close, she brushed up against him. Then she stopped and waited. He wanted to say, "Hello, Kate," just the way he did when she was alive. But he was so frightened he couldn't speak. Her eyes looked into his eyes, and she vanished. Hello. I'm reading short stories. And me and Mason, we've been reading all night. But I think he went to bed finally. Oh, you're here? Oh, I thought you went to bed. Next one's called The Black Dog. It was 11 o'clock at night. Peter Rothberg was in bed on the second floor of the old house where he lived alone. It had gotten so chilly he went downstairs to turn up the heat. As Peter was on his way back to bed, a black dog ran down the stairs. It passed him and disappeared into the darkness. "Where did you come from?" Peter said. He had never seen a dog before. He turned on all the lights, looked at every room. He could not find the dog anywhere. He went outside and brought in the 2 watchdogs he kept in the backyard. But they acted as if they were the only dogs in the house. The next night, again at 11 o'clock, Peter was in the bedroom. He heard what sounded like a dog walking around in the room above him. He dashed upstairs and threw open the door. The room was empty. He looked under the bed. He looked in the closet. Nothing. But when he got back to his bedroom, he heard the dog running down the stairs. It was a black dog. He tried to follow it, but again, he could not find where it had gone. From then on, every night at 11, Peter heard the dog walking in the room above him. The room was always empty. But after he left, the dog would come out of hiding, run down the stairs, and disappear. One night, Peter's neighbors waited with him for the dog at the usual time. They heard it above them. Then they heard it on the stairs. When they went into the hall, it was standing at the foot of the stairs looking up at them. The neighbor whistled, and the dog wagged his tail. Then it was gone. Things went on this way until the night Peter decided to bring his watchdogs into the house again. Maybe this time they would find the black dog and drive it away. Just before 11, he took them up to his bedroom and left the door open. Then he heard the black dog moving around above him. His dogs pricked up their ears and ran to the door, Suddenly they bared their teeth and snarled and backed away. Peter could not see the black dog or hear it, but he was sure that it had entered his room. His dogs barked and snapped. They darted forward nervously, then backed away again. Suddenly one of them yelped. It began bleeding, then dropped to the floor, its neck torn open. A minute later, it was dead. Peter's other dog backed into a corner whimpering. Then everything was still. The next night, Peter's neighbor came back with a pistol. Again, they waited in his bedroom. At 11 o'clock, the black dog came down the stairs as before. It looked up at them, wagged its tail. Then they started toward it with a pistol. It growled and disappeared. That was the last Peter saw of that black dog, but it did not mean that the dog was gone. Now and then, always at 11, I heard something moving around above me. Once he heard it running down the stairs, he never managed to see it again. But he knew that it was there. Not leaving yet. Mason, not leaving. He likes his stories. These two we gotta work on. Okay, tomorrow night. I'm gonna work on tomorrow night stories. Should we read one from this one? To my farmyard. Let's read 28. 28. The Steratania Monster. We're going to read that one. And how about the Chapel Ghost? Those ones sound okay? They sound okay to me. Hello, my friends. Hello. Almost midnight? Oh, wow. And we're going to listen to what? Who's the other one? The general? No. Shep. We're going to read Shep next time. Tomorrow night. Nobody comes in. Do a little spirit box. How's that sound? Hello, spirits. How are you doing tonight? You're in a pickle. What's wrong? How many spirits are here with us? Mason wants to know if you know his name, spirits. Can you guys say Mason? Spirits? Who's all in my stream tonight? What's the name of the person in my stream? Who's it? What's his name? Can you say it? How you doing tonight, spirits? Is there any spirits in my room with me? How many spirits are here? They're here. I can hear them. Spirits, Mason wants to know how old his brother is. Do you know how old his brother is? How old's Mason? What? What's matter? Who's screaming? What is your name? Who's here with us? What are your names? Are you guys ready for Halloween? Yeah. When it said yeah, what is your name? I bet you're not. Can any spirits ring my bells? Spirits, you guys like old cars? You heard no? What was that? Be right back. Go through. Meow. Meow. There's kitties. Look, that one. Get that one. Thank you. Okay, we're going. Come on. Come on. Come on. here, Red. Where? 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 There you go. Okay. What's your daddy? I put a Santa shirt on him. It says, "Dear Santa, I can explain." Yeah. You look so pretty. See him? Got a Santa shirt on. Yep. He's wearing his Santa Claus shirt. I got it for him last year or year before. Oh, he almost gonna get a spider costume. A spider costume? Be a spitter? Want to be a spitter? The shirt says, "Dear Santa, I can explain."
That's great.
Isn't it great? What's your name? Can you tell me your name? Is any of my family members here? No? Spirit, who is here with us? Get out. I live here. I don't want to get out. It's my home. Yeah, I heard that too. I'm staying here. I live here. I have nowhere to go if I get out. Mason says he's not leaving his home. He's comfortable in bed. What was that? I'm gonna get off here shortly, Mason. No one else is coming in, so I'm just get off here. Any spirits want to talk? No? Why? Do you have anything to say? Probably one more short story, then I'm gonna get off here. Next short story is called The Footsteps. I asked him that. Okay, footsteps. You guys can listen too. Liz was doing her homework at the dining room table. Her younger sister Sarah was asleep upstairs. Their mother was out, but she was expected back any minute. When the front door opened and shut, Liz called, "Hello, Mama," but her mother didn't answer. As the footsteps Liz heard were heavier, like a man. "Who's there?" she called. No one replied. She heard whoever it was walking through the living room, then up the stairs to the second floor. The footsteps moved from one bedroom to another. Again Liz called, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. Then she thought, "Oh my God, Sarah is in her bedroom." She ran upstairs to Sarah's room, only Sarah was there, and she was asleep. Liz looked in the other rooms, but found no one. She went back downstairs to the dining room, scared out of her wits. Soon she heard footsteps again. They were coming from down the stairs into the living room. Now they went into the kitchen. Then the door between the kitchen and the dining room slowly began to open. "Get out," Liz screamed. The door slowly closed. The footsteps moved out of the kitchen, through the living room, toward the front door. The door opened and shut. Liz ran to the window to see who it was. No one was in sight, nor were there any footprints in the fresh snow that had been falling. Whoa! So, okay, spirits, you all must leave. You can't stay here. You can't stay with Mason. So, we're gonna get off here and talk to you guys all later. Good night. Okay, that's it. That's all she wrote. Talk to you guys all later. Thanks for coming in. Stay safe. All right, Nathan. Talk to you tomorrow.